this will just be a little chat on how to date effectively. So a little bit of background here before we jump into this topic. The purpose of this is to find like a happy medium between, enjoying things as it comes and kind of being in the flow of things versus dating with intent and dating with purpose. Like finding a happy medium between those two. Because while you're searching for a partner or while you're dating, it's also important to have fun and to enjoy oneself. And if we're so focused on, certain characteristics and, dating with intent and purpose, we can actually miss out on great opportunity for growth and also opportunity for fun as well. So this will just be a little video on some tips on how to date effectively. So there's some 10 things here. And the first would be, obviously, be yourself. So a lot of times when we're dating people, we'll put on airs, we'll pretend that we like things that they like, or we'll even pretend to be a certain way. Maybe we know that this person likes a person of a certain caliber or someone who has certain features or something, and we'll try to fit into that niche rather than coming to the table as we are. It's always best just to be yourself, especially while you're getting to know someone, because if you're ultimately looking for a partner, you don't want to give false representation of yourself, because that's not who you are. Not only is that false advertisement, for that person, it's also a disservice to you because you don't get to show up authentically in your connection. And whatever connection you develop with this person, it's going to be based off of the pretense of you being a false character. And if you're looking to truly connect with the person and have a partnership, it's always better to show off as you. I mean, literally show yourself off as you. But it's always best to show up as you rather than trying to show up as another person. So even though it may sound cliche, it is very critical to show up as yourself. And to be your authentic self, not your professional self or not yourself on your best behavior, you as your regular everyday self. So if you're a person who doesn't wear lashes all the time, if you're a person who doesn't wear lashes all the time, don't wear lashes every time you see your significant other. This person needs to see you without them, because there's going to be a time where you're going to get tired of putting on putting on lashes, and they might be a little surprised when they see you without them. So it's always best to show up as yourself. Be honest in what you like, be honest in what you don't like, and don't go too overboard with trying to fit into something just to meet someone else's standards or needs. Okay. Likewise, it's important for you to be comfortable in your skin. So if you're uncomfortable in your skin, you're going to come off as insecure. And if you come off as insecure, that's going to give opportunity for people to take advantage of you. It's going to signal to predators. They're going to smell it, they're going to sniff it, they're going to know it, right? So if you're comfortable in your skin, regardless of what you look like, what flaws you have, or what idiosyncrasies you have, or what disabilities you have, or whatever you perceive as a hindrance, or a barrier, or something that makes you of less than value, it's important to really kind of not get over it in the sense of ignore it and act like it's not there, because that's false. But it's important to process it and integrate it so that you can be comfortable within your skin and show up as your true authentic self, flaws and all, and not really care. Because it's very hard to date an insecure person. It's extremely hard. And insecurity can lead to a lot of desperation, which can lead to bad decisions. And if you're not secure within yourself, I would suggest finding a good balance of self-esteem and working on that prior to re-entering the dating world, especially if you're going to be looking to meet people online. The next one I have here is don't compromise. And yeah, that sounds a little harsh, right? Don't compromise. that's not to say like don't compromise, you know, in terms of the connection. That means like don't compromise in terms of your standards. Now, with that being said, it is very critical not to have like some lofty expectations, right? Like the best way to phrase this is be that which you desire. So, okay, for example, if you're not a supermodel, you may not want to have the list of not compromising on someone else who isn't a supermodel. Like, be practical, right? But don't compromise on your standards. For instance, if you're not into long distance relationships and that's what you're not into, and you need someone who you can interact with on a regular basis, doesn't matter how great the guy is. If he lives in Kansas, that's just not going to work. Like, don't compromise on that. If like, you know, you really are in tune with the person, okay, so let's say this, like, say you're like really in tune with a woman and she's everything that you want, and you're like, this is great and I really see a future with this, but this woman doesn't want kids and you do, and you know that's going to be a point of contention because you've always dreamed of being a parent. Don't compromise on that, because ultimately that's not going to make you happy. The point is, we all have our major deal breakers and we all have the things that we truly, truly desire. Now, I wouldn't go as far to say like desire something that you can't attain yourself or that you're not striving to be yourself. So for instance, like, I wouldn't say like don't compromise on things that aren't as important. Like I wouldn't say like don't compromise on someone if like on something as like, significant as like a hair color or something like that, you know. But it is important that you are mindful of your actual deal breakers, what is important to you, and you know what's going to actually fulfill you and make you happy in the long run, and not backtrack on that. Like, for instance, if you're a person who makes a certain amount of money, and for you need a partner who brings to the table the same amount of money as you do or more, don't compromise on that because, you know, people around you are putting pressure on you and say you need to be more humble or like, you know, you need to lower your standards. No. No, the whole point of dating is filtering. It's not about settling. It's about literally weeding people out so that you can find people that you align with and people that you actually want to be with. It's not so that you can just take what's available to you at that time and just like partner up with it and settle with it for the rest of your life. Like, no. It's about selection. Like, I literally just hear natural selection. It's just about like selection, getting to know people, understanding what they like, understanding what you like and desire, and seeing that if that all fits together and if it feels good in the process. That's like the best way to sum it up. So the next one I have is have boundaries, which is critical. Now, here's the thing about boundaries, especially when we're talking about like weeding people out. Boundaries are an exceptional way to tell if someone is really into you, if someone respects you, if someone actually is looking for more than just a physical connection. Also, boundaries are a great way to tell if someone is a narcissist, if they are out to use you, or if they don't value you. So someone who values you, if you tell them, hey, I don't like this, or it makes me feel uncomfortable when you do this, or it makes me feel sad when this happens, or I would appreciate this, or I would like this from a partner, whatever it is that you put on the line and indicate that there's a line that can be crossed here, or whenever like you make something known about yourself, like whenever you even like share like a preference, or even like share like moments of vulnerability. If someone treads on you, or if someone steps on you, or if someone does something to poke fun of you or disrespect you in a way, or just does not really take what you're saying seriously and does not adhere to the boundaries that you set forth, that is a great indicator that that is a person that you do not need to be with. Someone who actually cares for you is actually going to be concerned about your boundaries. And when they do cross them or violate them, and they will, like we all cross boundaries, like it happens, we're humans, they will either A, apologize, and or B, find out what they can do in the future to prevent that from happening, because they're not going to want you to feel a certain way, in which your boundaries are being violated. Now, someone who violates your boundaries, makes a joke about it, says that you're sensitive, says that they were just joking, minimizes it, or just doesn't care at all, is not someone who has your best interests at heart. And if that's the case, that's probably someone you should not be dating. And if you're running into people who consistently violate your boundaries, the best thing for that, honestly, is a hard stop so you can reevaluate why you are attracting these type of people. I mean, we all attract them, don't get me wrong. We all attract people who violate our boundaries. But the difference is, if you're meeting people that violate your boundaries and you continue to interact with them or those type of people, that's a little different than meeting someone who violated your boundaries and walking away and not dealing with that type of behavior in the future. So there's like two pieces to that there. Also, like, men or women or just people in general who don't like boundaries, who are like want free access to you and want to be able to do whatever they want to you physically, romantically, sexually, whatever it is, those are they could be narcissists, yes, but those are like people that you may not want to interface with and actually date. Someone who expects unfettered access to you and gets mad at you for putting up boundaries, or gets upset with you for saying no, or not wanting to do something, or expressing concern, that is a great indicator that that is someone who's probably not worthy of your time. No matter what they look like, no matter what they bring to the table, no matter how they make you feel, no matter how good I'm hearing the schmex is, so apparently I shouldn't say that word. That's probably someone you shouldn't be dealing with. Okay, now that we got the boundaries out the way, one way to effectively date is, it's so important to be fun. Like, nobody wants to date a girl with a bad attitude. I mean, like, they will, but like after a while, like that shit gets old, and no one wants to be bothered with that after a while. It gets really old, it gets really boring, and then people start getting replaced. So like, nobody wants to date people with bad attitudes. No one wants to date the girl that's a stick in the mud. No one wants to date the girl who's too pretty to do anything, and it's like just so super stuck up, and she's so worried about her hair or her makeup that she can't actually have a good time. Like, nobody really wants to date the girl who's like all the time on social media, who's posting and can't actually focus on the guy that she's actually dating. Like, nobody wants that. Like, it's important to be present, and it's important to be fun, because again, this is about selection. So if you're being a jerk to your date and it's only your first or second date, like, what are you gonna be like if they actually, like, you know, get into a long-term relationship? Like, this is all a vetting process, right? This is why dating is so important, because nowadays a lot of people don't date. Like, you know, they just kind of like hook up and like Netflix and chill. But no, it's really important to like actually go places with a person and see how they react in certain social situations, see how they react to certain environments, and how they react to different people, because then you can get a feel for them. Because here's the thing, if you always hook up, I'm here with Johnny, if you always hook up with Johnny at 9 p.m. every Saturday, right, and he just like comes over, you're only going to know Johnny in one aspect. You're only going to know Johnny after he gets, you know, out of the gym, or like whatever he was doing before he came to your house. Like, you're only going to know him in that one setting. And if you know a person in one setting, chances are they're going to react to that setting like very similarly. Like, there could be different variations, but they're going to react similarly. Now and Johnny might be really cool, you know, at your house at 9 p.m. Netflix and chilling, you know, eating popcorn. But take Johnny out to a football game. Johnny's got social anxiety. You don't know this though, because Johnny always comes to your house. So if you go out to a football game with Johnny, that's not the same Johnny you know. So then you start to ask yourself questions like, do I really want to be with this person? But if all you did was Netflix and chill with him, you're not going to know who he is, because you're only going to see him in one type of environment. And then within that environment, it's like limited stimuli. And he's also able to control his reactions and the way that he reacts to you. And also in some ways the environment. And it's also critical to see how people react under stress while you're dating them too. So if there's no stress at your house, you may never know that Becky's got a temper and she throws temper tantrums. But if you take Becky to a go-kart racing like event, right, and Becky crashes and loses and she throws a temper tantrum, now you know that she's got anger management issues. But you know, going out to dinner, you may not realize that, because there may not be a situation that makes her angry. So that's the whole point, is to see people in different environments and settings so that you can really get a full-on perspective on who that person is. Because another great example is work. The way that you show up in work may not be the way that you show up in your personal life. And you spend a minimum probably 40 hours a week at work, right? So you're this professional person at work or what have you, or the character you are while you're working. The character you are when you're working may not be the same person you are when you get home with your children or your parents or your dog or whoever. So that's why it's important to see a vast array of settings and events and scenarios, and most importantly, stressors, so that you can get a full-on gauge of someone while you're dating them. Because granted, most people are going to show up on their best behavior, and if they know what to expect from the environment, if they know what to expect like in terms of an outcome, they can kind of show up as their best self versus being blindsided or just dealing with unexpected situations, which will give you a more realistic view of that person. That's not to say, if someone blows up at a restaurant that, they're just an angry, rhetoric person. No, but at least you'll be able to see, hey, this aspect of this person exists. And that's very important too. Okay, so this is another seemingly shallow, effective dating tip, but it's important. This one is stay pretty, or stay attractive, or be attractive, right? And that doesn't mean go out and spend a bunch of money. That doesn't mean not accept the way that you look and get a bunch of procedures, or that doesn't mean that you have to do anything over the top. It just means that it's important to present yourself as attractive when you date, and not necessarily pretty. Like, I use the term pretty loosely. It's about being attractive. It's about being well groomed, taking good care of yourself, and showing up in a way that the person that you're interacting with is actually proud to be with. Because let's be honest, if they don't want to be seen with you, they're not going to want to take you out. And that has nothing to do with being like pretty or ugly. Like, you can be a very pretty girl or a very attractive man. Like, if you don't take care of yourself, like, people still aren't going to want to be seen with you. Like, you don't take care of yourself. Like, so it is important. It seems so seemingly shallow. You would think that, your personality matters the most, and your personality does matter. But unfortunately, that's not usually what attracts people initially. First, they have to see you. They have to be attracted to you. And then they can actually, decide, hey, that's a person I want to interface with. I actually want to talk to that person. And then they get the opportunity to see your personality. But 9 times out of 10, they're not talking to you like for your personality initially. Like, you're being talked to off of face value. So that's why it's important to, be attractive. Okay, especially if you are like me. This may upset people, but I'm gonna be honest. Especially if you're like me and you feel like you shouldn't have to pay for dates, or like as a woman, or I don't know, whatever. I don't even want to say as a woman. Especially if you're like me and you feel like if someone's courting you, like, they should pay for it. Like, you don't believe in going half. It's very important that you present well, because this person's going to be spending money on you. It sounds so shallow, but it makes a difference. Scientifically speaking, people get dopamine rushes from looking at attractive people. People who are attractive are more likely to get jobs, they're more likely to get opportunities, and they are treated better. This is a scientific fact. When it comes to dating and competition, attractiveness matters. Not necessarily being pretty, not necessarily being beautiful. And what's the difference, right? I'm not going to break that down. But being attractive is just someone who attracts other people. Being pretty is about symmetry. Not everyone's going to be pretty. Every single person on this planet can make themselves attractive. Just about. Some way, some shape, some form. Everyone has something about them that they can make attractive to attract other human beings, even if it's just their feet. Could be anything. Right? So it's just very important to, just looping it back to embracing oneself, being comfortable in your skin, and presenting well. You don't have to be a 10. That's a lie. You don't have to be a baddie. That's a lie. You don't gotta be a size 8. That's a lie. You ain't gotta be thick, with big titties and fat ass. That's a lie. You don't have to be anything. You just have to present yourself as yourself, and as an attractive version of yourself. That's pretty much it. And be comfortable within that. Okay, so number 7, don't focus on him too much, or her too much, or they too much, or them too much. Whoever it is, doesn't matter who you are. Effective dating has a very almost self-absorbed concept, in the sense of, while you're out here, you got to know that you're the prize. Doesn't matter who you date. You're the prize because you're you, and there's only one you. And this person is actually fortunate to have your time. Yes. And on the flip side, you are also fortunate to have this person's time as well. It goes both ways. Don't get me wrong. Not saying go out there and just act like, you're the shit and nobody else's time or effort matters. No, they matter too, because you should only be interfacing and dating with people who you feel are comparable to you, are on your level, or are better, if you will, So, I mean, and some people don't believe that. Some people feel you should just be out here, dating for love, and what someone has doesn't matter, but that's not my perspective, honestly. Yeah. But that doesn't matter. But the point here is, don't focus on the person you're dating too much. You should have an outside life outside of that person. There should be times where you are unavailable and this person cannot have your time. Believe it or not, although people may pretend that they like people who are available to them all the time, after a while, it becomes unattractive. You need to have your own life. You need to have your own goals. You need to have your own friends, your own hobbies, your own things going for you. And you don't need to be available each and every time someone calls you and asks you to go somewhere. Now, there are toxic dating perspectives and even advice that says a girl needs to be home all the time. Nobody wants a woman who's in the streets. I don't want a girl who has plans. She needs to be home, and she needs to be available for me when I want to do such and such, or when I want to go here. But I don't believe that either. Personally, when I was available to people, that seemed to decrease my value. The less available I became, the more perceived value I had. Because at the end of the day, it's all about perception. Nobody wants something that other people don't want. So if you don't have other people who are interested in you, or you're not even interested in yourself to give yourself a life, why would somebody else be interested in you? What are you doing? What makes you stand apart from everybody else? What's so intriguing about you? it's important to have focus within yourself, to have your own hobbies, to have your own goals, your own business, whatever it is, outside of like, you know, the person that you're dating. That's very important. This also, the next point goes in alignment to that. Put yourself first. Don't sideline your plans for somebody else. And there are going to be times where you think that you should or that you want to, or that the person you're dating may want you to do that. That's also a red flag too. Like, time is very important. Don't put yourself aside for someone, especially if it's someone you're not even in like a relationship with and you're just like dating them or you're just getting to know them, or better yet, you're just talking to them. Like, this also goes back to boundaries, because if you're willing to sideline yourself, that says that this person subconsciously, A, they're more important than you. Like, you'll drop anything for them. And B, like, you're not that important because you're not even important to yourself. So, like, why should they value you? Like, why should you be important? Because unfortunately, in today's world, there's a whole big school of thought of being worth, you know, the time, or being worth the effort, or being worth taking out, or being worth spending money on, all of that crap. If you're not worth your own time, if you're not your own first priority, how can someone make you theirs? And why should they? Number 9, offer something they can't find elsewhere. This is a favorite angle. And like, a lot of times, like, people will think that what they bring to the table, especially while we're younger, is about like physicality, our looks, sexuality. However, one of the most valuable things that you can bring to your partner, especially if you have a masculine partner, is peace. On the flip side, if you have a feminine partner, it's probably security, and not even financial security, like security in the sense of safety. So it's very important that you offer something to the people that you date that they can't find elsewhere. Now, this does not mean like, oh, I give the best, you know, head on the planet. Like, no, no. This has to be something that they cannot find elsewhere, or something that they would be very hard pressed to find. For instance, every guy that I date tells me the same crap. I'm not going to get too far into this, but they all tell me the same things. One of the things that they tell me is, you make me very happy, and when I'm with you, I feel so much peace. And every time they say this, I smile, and it excites me, and I'm like, oh, good. And I say thank you, because I work very hard on my energy. Like, I work very hard to keep my energy cleansed. I like to make sure my home feels good when people come. I want people to feel secure. I want people to feel comforted. I want people to feel like held in my presence. So whenever people do feel that, you know, without me sharing that information, that means that I've, you know, done my job and I was successful in that aspect. So what I like to try to offer is peace, because the world is chaos, right? You know, people deal with a lot of stress. People have a lot of trauma. We deal with a lot of stimuli. And one of the things that the people that I date do not have is a lot of peace. And that is something that I can offer to them. And I also offer a lot of happiness too, because I like to have fun. I like to play. And I like to spend lots of money while I do it too. So if you're with me and we're dating, we're gonna have a good time, because what else? I mean, why else would we do this? So it's very important for the person that I'm dating to feel comfortable with me, and it's important for them to be able to loosen up and connect with their inner child so that we can have fun and we just like, do dumb shit and just enjoy ourselves, because why else, So being fun is very, very important, but offering something that your person or the people you date cannot find elsewhere will make you invaluable. And even if things do not work out, you will always be like the standard, or you will always like be set apart from others simply because you offer them something they cannot find in other people. And it could be anything, but this is when, again, being authentic comes into place and being yourself, because you can't be yourself. You can't offer something someone can't find elsewhere unless it's material or extrinsic. And this is actually supposed to be intrinsic, without being yourself. So just to loop back to the number 1 point. And finally, for number 10, we have be versatile. So it's important to be like well-rounded and be able to do things, and also be like very fluid. Even though like number 3 is like don't compromise, it's also critical to be able to, pivot and not be upset if things don't go according to plan, or if plans fall through, or to do something unexpected. Be willing to get out of your comfort zone and try to be someone. Well, I don't want to say try to be someone, because if it's not you and you're not that type of person, it's not you. But while you're dating, it's important to show someone that you can fit into the various aspects of their life, if that is actually something you can do. So, for instance, if you know your partner is into like horticulture, right? Expressing or showing your partner that you have interest in crops would actually be very helpful, or like even taking up an interest in crops if you feel called to do that. But not being just like a shallow or just single plain person. Like while you're dating, it's a really good idea to it's effective rather, to show all the different facets of you, because that's what makes you uniquely you. And the more unique you are, the more likely you're going to find someone who actually connects to you and actually desires to be with you for you, rather than just being a person or being a man or a woman or, whoever. So it's critical to be versatile, to not pigeonhole yourself and not get trapped in your comfort zone, and also be willing to try new things, but also show people that you're dating, hey, like I have this interest and I've done this and I've done that, so that they understand, wow, this is someone I can take here, or my family would like to do this with this person, so they understand and they have a broader context of who you are, rather than the limited experiences that they've had with you thus far. So, we're about 30 minutes over. So on that note, I'm going to conclude the video here. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Yeah, take care.